All right, guys, welcome back. Well, harvest is over, so our attention has turned to plowing. This is you haven't seen the full-length video yet because I'm slow editing, but I've got a lot of it and I need to get it pared down so it's not so long. But this is the plow I took down to Mike's Sunday. It worked pretty good. One thing I'm working on, and that's the focus of this today, but we're going to talk about some other stuff too because I think it's worth discussing. He's got I think it's an 84 pull type Alice plow that he was using, and it does a beautiful job cleaning the furrow and leaving a clean furrow slice. This one did a good job at times, but a less good job at other times. And one thing that I have read on the internet is that this portion of the share, and you'll notice I've got a shorter one there. I robbed that off of a different bottom. This is the share that was on it. And it's actually worn a fair bit more than I thought. We'll talk about that in a second. But I have read on the internet that the shorter share, you know, and we're talking, you know, probably 3 inches or so, I would guess, kind of leaves a hinge in the dirt so that it rolls better. So we're going to try that. That's not a new share, but it's pretty good shape. Had to use the gas axe to get some of the bolts, and that's another thing that we will get to. This is a new old stock share, like the one that came off of it, except it has one less bolt hole for whatever reason. But they line up, so it will fit and work. And you can see this share is more worn than I thought it was, considerably more. So if that doesn't work, and there's about 50-50 odds that it will get tried out right over there after the garden dies, I will put this on. I think that's going to work though. This one is real. I mean, I'm not going to throw this away by any means. If I was going to continue to use it, I would grind this edge back like John Gard talks about. It's got some sled runner. We could make that better. Just lay that angle back so that it cuts in. The one I put on, pretty sure it's quite good. Oh, fat old man, get down here on the ground. Yeah, it looks good. These two up front that I haven't done anything with, I will probably do a little bit of grinding on them to try to get rid of any sled runner. Going to plow Saturday, this being Thursday, but I'm taking the 856, so I'm driving it. So this one's not going to be in attendance. I wish it was, but I can only run one tractor and plow at a time. And this is plow day is only about 10 miles from here. I can easily drive the 856, so that's what we're doing. I haven't put the nuts on here. That's something else I wanted to touch on. These are the Alice Cat's Eye bolts. I don't know if you guys can, hopefully you can get a good look at that. It's got that weird, and those fit in there, and I don't know. I have no idea why they used that style bolt. I don't know of anybody else that used that bolt. And I'm lucky to have a fairly good supply of these because they're about as close to unobtainium as you're gonna get. And they come with a little special lock nut, which I threw away all the ones I took off. So when we put the nuts on that one down there, we're just gonna use good old Nylocks. I don't think it'll be an issue. I really don't know what else to tell you. I took 8 bolts out to get that share off the bottom, the donor bottom, and the one off this plow, and I managed to save 5 of them, so I didn't feel too bad about that. Like I say, I'm not gonna throw that away. It will probably get ground. I don't know. Stay tuned, I guess. There's hopefully much more plowing upcoming. And I don't know how long it'll take before I get this rolled into a video and posted. I got my OSHA approved safety device there. All right. Since we're in the mood to shoot video today, we're gonna keep talking about this Model 73 plow. And this isn't really part of it, but maybe someday it will be. This is a Yetter Coulter. This is a shank off, I want to say, a 9000 series Alice plow, though it could be an 80 series. A little fuzzy on my models there. That is a Coulter off a 365 Oliver plow. You can see the meadow green paint there. All right, my plan when I built this was to build 2 more of them, put them on a plow like what's on that 45. I don't know. This is the one I was just talking about. This will probably all be in the same video. Okay. So this is the Coulter mount that we will use. Hopefully someday. We'll take the others off. And the reason for all of this tomfoolery is that the single arm Coulter is a big advantage in passing trash. In a low clearance plow like that, every advantage you can get helps. But this is way too tall to go on the plow. Now, this worn out Coulter, you will notice, that gains us about 1.5 inches on a side. Yeah, just not quite, about 1 7/16 inches. This was the smallest of the 4. They get progressively bigger, but there's some other issues with my plan here we're gonna have to address too. Now that raises us up a little bit. That's gonna help. Now the other thing I'm thinking is this shank. We can loosen this bolt. We can gain about another 1 inch right here. And all we gotta do is drill a new roll pin hole and move our bolt. And I think that will be enough to make this work. And then we'll have spring-loaded single arm Coulters on this thing. And that's all great. That's what I want. The problem that I'm foreseeing is these things are going to add a lot of weight to an already heavy plow. There's more to this story. And hopefully this is not going to happen before we put plows away for the winter, but hopefully before next year, somewhere in that hydraulic pump, there are shims that I don't remember if you add or remove, but that increases the pressure. And see, this pump, the last time I checked it, I believe it was about 3,100 PSI. And I think that 35 is kind of a low end. I think they're supposed to be 35 to 3750. So if we can get our pressure up where it needs to be, we will pick our plow up more reliably, because it likes to kind of creep down after the oil gets hot. It gets worse about that, and it doesn't always pick it all the way up either. So a little hydraulic pump work in the off season. A little gratuitous J&L video shot for those guys. Check them out. But yeah, that's what I got going. I'm not going to work on that. I'm going to put the tractor away. I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do it. Maybe it won't be tomorrow. I'm busy tomorrow. Hopefully we get some video shot tomorrow too. Anyway, all I got to do is I'm going to pull this out of here, and we will set up in the drill press and pop a new roll pin hole in there. We'll get that all laid out, and that'll be no big deal. I don't know, those, you put 3 of those on there, and that's going to add a lot of weight to that plow, but that's what I'm wanting to try. I'm in the shop today. That's a happy day. And to make it even happier, we're working on plows. Those are hubs, bearing hubs, for Alice Chalmers 50, 60, 70 series plows. And they are part number 332370. This nice shiny one is new old stock. That one is junk, and that one's junker. This is the bearing that goes in there. I don't know if this one is actually worn pretty badly. A lot of this stuff's going to scrap, but I can't believe the thing that makes these scrap is the bore gets big, and I think this one's bigger, and then the ends wear off, and then your coulter is able to wander around and do what it wants. These two are pretty much junk. You can see how the dust cap has even worn that on there. I've been working on this stuff a lot. This is about the 3rd or 4th coulter shank that I have heated this all up cherry red. This is the last one, and I think I have got it to move, but only slightly. But we're making progress. We're sorting, we're getting rid of junk, it's going into scrap, we're saving what's good, we got less in our parts vault, that's good. We'll come back in here and talk about those later, but let's go outside and talk about this a while. I just finished moving that pull bar. Plow was cutting about 19 inches with the front bottom. And it's a 16-inch plow. It ain't a 20. So I noticed I was having to counter steer a little bit, and then I had to stop one time plowing Saturday, and I got the tape measure out. And I really waffled. I only moved at 1 hole. That should be 2 inches, I believe. I thought about going 2, because that would get us more centered up. The tread spacing on that tractor that I pull this plow with is set according to the book. I believe it's 58, 59, 60 inches inside to inside. So if I bought a plow, shouldn't have to counter steer at all. And I did a little bit, not much. Not like some of the things you see out there. Okay. We'll put the plow back on the tractor here after a bit and put it back in the shed. We may as well stop and talk about this one. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to need to do it later today, because tomorrow ain't looking good. I got to go to Grinnell tomorrow morning, and it's hard to say how my day may deteriorate. I'm thinking about changing these front 2 shares. I said in a previous video I wasn't going to throw that in the scrap, and then I did. Then I thought about how hard it is to find these stupid shares, so I dug it back out. But I'm thinking about changing these front two, leaving that one the way it is, and trying that. We'll just have new shares on it. Should work good. I don't know. It's not that big a deal. It didn't work that bad the way it was. We'll see how it goes. This is the big project of late. I should have probably filmed some of my working, but this is my single arm colder project. I think it will work. I don't know. I'm not completely confident because when that hits the dirt, it will pick it up. It's plenty far back. I don't know. It's hard to say where I'll plow with this plow at first, but that colder is ready to go on. That is the original 70 series style. And I went ahead and got 70 series colders on the first two bottoms. And just to make sure I had it, I went ahead and I've got my mount. If this has to come off, I've got the mount, it's already there. The colder will, if I plow here, it won't be any big deal. That could happen. Or if I'm elsewhere, I'm taking that with me. And just, if that don't work, we'll swap it out. I've done a lot of work on this silly plow this year, almost accidentally. Had two new shares that fit that bottom and that bottom only. So since this is the only plow I've got with that bottom, they went on. I notice that this is not real good, for lack of a better term. So I think what's going to happen, probably not for a little while, next week maybe, hopefully, take that off, which isn't that big a deal, and I'm going to cold work those pieces so that they, you know, cold work, aka put it on the anvil and beat the crap out of it with a sledgehammer, and straighten those out so that they're not quite like that anymore. That wouldn't be any fun if that jumped out of there while we were plowing. Put a new 3/8 hydraulic hose on there and got rid of that plumber's nightmare. That should be just about perfect length hose. Warmed our little star wheel up there. Isn't that nice? Took some emery cloth to the pitted area on the ram. I hope that doesn't leak too bad, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. Yeah, I don't know. I really wanted to sell this silly thing and so that I didn't wind up doing what I'm doing. But here I am. It didn't sell, it's still here. So let's make a machine out of it. I don't know. I've got some other footage that I shot earlier. I need to get that compiled into a video, and that's probably what will happen. I don't know. I'm thinking, because these are those 375 shinless shares, and they've got a fair amount of wear in that also important area, I'll probably pull the mold boards off and try to TIG weld that and see what I can do. I can TIG weld it. I don't know what, building up edges is always a lot of fun. I don't know. Probably won't get a chance to use this before next spring. If I was smart, and you guys know I'm not, so that's okay. I'd probably go to work on changing those two, just get that done and Then we'd have new shares plus that one. I don't know. You'll just have to keep watching to see what kind of plow mischief I can get into. I guess that's it for right now. All right, guys, I'm gonna throw this in with the plow video stuff. That is my little carry-all that usually goes on one of the WD-45s. And I was out tractor riding with a friend of mine on a Sunday afternoon here a while back. And I noticed that the front board was not looking too good. And it was really flopping around a lot. So I had a look at it. And I used to only have 2 bolts on a side. And the angle iron was much smaller. And small enough that it only had about maybe 1/4 of an inch above the bolt hole. And it had cracked and broke on one side and there was a bolt missing. I attribute that to the washboards in the gravel roads in good old Jasper County, Iowa, US of A. Our county supervisor who's in charge of the road maintainers will not let them put the blade deep enough in the gravel road to cut the washboards out. So hence, 6-8 hours after they blade the road, if there's any traffic, the washboards are back. Anyway, yesterday I wasn't having a very good day, kind of moping around here, not having any ambition, and a friend of mine showed up because he needed to get out of the house, and he really snapped me out of a funk. I really like to thank Dan for that. That helped. It had a good day after that. But anyway, this is some angle iron that a buddy of mine picked up on a scrap run and I got from him, and we sawed it to length, popped some holes in there, added a 3rd bolt. I think between the much bigger angle iron and the extra bolt, we should be good. It's a pretty handy little item to have, and I like it. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to throw that in with the plow video, and thanks again, Dan. Well, there she is, folks. My old narrow front 45. Got the 73 semi mount hooked on her. And looks to me like it ought to work. I measured the lift arm lengths on the one on the wide front and set these approximately the same. I don't know, I would say we're probably winged about right. Tractors are basically set up the same. I have still got the hydraulic pump set for drawbar control. So if you let this down gently, and then you raise it back up, the front end lifts first. And then the tail wheel lifts. Now, I guess I've only tried this at an idle. Maybe we ought to open the throttle and see how it does. There is a transport valve right there is about wide open. I wonder, let's play with that a little bit. We'll throttle her down. letting the pressure bleed out a lot slower. I don't know, I'll have to read up on the transport valve. This may be a real trip trying to plow with this. I'm thinking next summer it's probably going to go to the Marshalltown show. I'd like to find a new, what do they call that? Slip heel for it. I'd probably invest in some landsides if I could find them. Talk to Dave the plowman, see what he's got. It's a pretty interesting piece. I don't know, we can set the hydraulic pump for delayed lift, which was initially for cultivating, but I think it would be applicable to this. I just don't know if the traction booster will work if we do that. I asked a question on the Alice board about that, and Dr. Alice told me how to do it, but I don't know if my brain's quite configured to follow those instructions. I've got some other plow videos. I would plow the garden with this. Obviously the land or the mold boards are going to need shined up, but I think it's going to be too unwieldy. It's hard enough to maneuver with a 3-bottom fully mounted. 2 would be better. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up and hopefully get this posted. So thanks for watching.